Well, another fault line in U.S.-Russian relations, Russia carrying out military drills near Alaska. They're firing cruise missiles in the Arctic in what the country's defense ministry says is a test designed to gauge Moscow's readiness for a potential conflict in that region. And meantime, a U.S. intelligence review reveals Russia has spent at least $300 million on foreign political campaigns around the world since 2014, with the goal of weakening democratic systems in at least 24 countries. And a new report from the New York Times detailing the various ways in which Russian trolls attempted to interfere with one of the largest single-day protests in U.S. history, the 2017 Women's March in D.C., much of it done via social media, Russians posing as Americans, trying and succeeding in sowing discord and division. Well, joining us now to discuss all of this is Dmitri Alperovitch, Executive Chairman of Silverado Policy Accelerator, a geopolitical think tank based in D.C. Dmitri, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We do have a whole lot to get to. Let's start with these Russian military drills in the Arctic first. You know, Russia views its Arctic territory as a major strategic asset. Is this out of the ordinary for them to be carrying out tests like this in waters so close to U.S. territory?
It really is not. They've been conducting a number of tests in the Arctic region. The last one was a few months ago in the spring when they surfaced a number of nuclear-powered submarines through the Arctic to show that they can covertly get close to the American coast and potentially deploy nuclear weapons. So this is all part of messaging that their nuclear deterrent is still alive and well, and a signal to the United States not to get more involved in Ukraine.
Well, and on the political front, meanwhile, as well, Russia spending $300 million over the last 8 years or so, attempting to influence countries all over the world. What do you think the average American doesn't understand about what Russia has been doing to disrupt democracy all over the world and here in the U.S. as well?
Well, I think we've learned a lot in the last 4 years, really, 5 years, on what Russia has been doing both in this country and other countries to interfere in democratic process. But I think it's important to put that in context. The reality is that they haven't gotten a lot for it. And when you look at the countries that we now know they've interfered with in terms of direct providing of cash, Albania, Montenegro, Madagascar, 2 of those 3 are staunch NATO allies. Montenegro just joined NATO in 2017. So they really have not gotten much of a payoff for all that cash that they've spent.
Interesting. So here in the U.S., you don't feel that they've been successful in sowing discord or division?
I think they've tried, but honestly, you know, this country is very divided. We know that, but mostly it's because of domestic reasons, because of people that are Americans that are have certain political positions that are diametrically opposed to others. Russia is trying to inflame tensions for sure, but I think it's playing a minor role in that overall conflict that is really driven by domestic politics.
Well, we do have a new reporting out from the New York Times today that Russian operatives attempted to disrupt the 2017 Women's March in D.C. And this analysis said that they particularly targeted one of the co-chairs, a Palestinian-American woman named Linda Sarsour. There were actually 2,642 Russian tweets about her alone. What does this analysis from the Times tell us? Were their efforts successful, and how insidious are their methods?
Well, we know it wasn't successful because, of course, the march went forward. There were hundreds of thousands of people on the mall marching, so they weren't able to disrupt it at all. We have to be clear that thousands of tweets, even on social media platform, it's not clear how many people actually saw those tweets. They don't amount to much in terms of influencing the American public. Most Americans aren't even on Twitter, so we have to take all of this with a grain of salt.
I mean, that does seem to be the overarching message I'm hearing from you today. I know there are certainly people and critics who are very concerned about what Russia is trying to do and the discord that it's trying to sow within the United States. It seems like you're not too concerned.
I'm really not. They're absolutely trying. They've been trying for many years. They've been trying during the Cold War. The Soviet Union was very, very aggressive in pursuing buying off politicians, trying to spread misinformation. None of it has really worked. We know who won the Cold War, and I'm not concerned about Russians' efforts this time around being successful either.
All right, Dmitri Alperovitch, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you being here this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.